All right, so let's see about reviewing these few things. First of all, log properties. And so remember with logs, I feel like I say the word logs and people go, oh, I hate logs. Remember, all logs are is just another is another way of writing exponentials. So if you have log with a base, remember if that base is not written, it's understood to be base 10. But I will tell you in calculus, we do a lot more with ln, which remember that ln is really just log base e. You'll never see log base e of x, okay? That log base e means ln. So if I ask you to convert ln of x is equal to 4, the base is e, the exponent is 4, and that would equal x. And you could probably go the other way as well. So in exponential form, could you write that in logarithmic form? Hopefully the answer to that is yes, ma'am. Now remember, there are 3 log properties, and this will come into play when we're evaluating and integrating, and then the answer that you have written down is not necessarily what's in the multiple choice. So with logs, you always have to remember log properties. And the 3 log properties that you have to remember is when you have a single log, and remember I put log base b, that's true for ln, okay? If you're multiplying, you add the individual logs. If you're dividing, you subtract, and if you have a power on the argument, then that power can go in front. And notice that the arrows are going both ways because it depends on what the question is asking you to do to know what you're doing. So it says in number 2, it says separate into logs with the simplest arguments. So I'll do A and then I'll make you do B. That means that, okay, I'm going separate into logs. So I have it as a single log and I'm kind of going this way. So this would be the natural log of x plus 2 to the third minus, now I could put a minus parentheses, but I like to say it this way. People, if your argument is in the denominator, then you are going to end up with a final answer of your log being negative. Okay, because people always go, well, wait a minute, you have x times y basically, so why isn't this a plus? Well, I could do it like this and put a parentheses with a plus right here, but that negative is going to be distributed. So to me, it's easier. I just go, you know what? I go to the final answer kind of from the beginning. I tell myself again that if the argument is in the bottom, it's going to be a negative, and if it's in the top, it's going to be a positive. Now the last thing, the whole simplest arguments business, is they also want you, again, this is the argument. Well, which is more simple, x plus 2 to the third or x plus 2? So these powers you're going to bring to the front. So my final answer is going to be 3 natural log of x plus 2 minus natural log of x minus 1/2 natural log of y. And that's going to be my final answer for that one. And you can practice B. Now in number 3, it's kind of weird. I probably should have just done one A and B there, but that's okay. That's kind of confusing, but who cares? Number 4, it's asking you to rewrite as a single log. So obviously, if I'm doing a single log, I'm going from this one back to this one. I do this in one kit and caboodle. So I write the log word once. I put a big parentheses. Is x, and I know that this is going to be my power. So is x to the 4th going on top or bottom? He's going on top because the log is positive. I have y to the 1/3, which I'll write as the cube root. He's going to go on bottom because the log is negative. Now be careful, the z. I don't have parentheses here. Z squared is positive, so he's going on top. So that's it. I'll let you practice the simplifying. If you need help with the simplifying, remember, change it to exponential form. because if you change that to exponential form, you probably can figure it out. So I want you to, those logs you definitely should know in your head. Okay, factoring. This is a very, very, very important skill. When we start doing product and quotient rules, I'm going to go, oh, remember that factoring stuff? Because it's going to be part of the getting to the final answer, because that stuff will be on multiple choice. So here's the deal. The only reason that letter A is difficult is that it has fractions as coefficients. So what I'm going to say for fractional coefficients is I would suggest writing them with a common denominator. In other words, if I look at 4, 20, and 5, I'm going to write this as 15 over 20. And then I'm going to write this as 24 over 20. That's going to help you. So then when you look at your numbers, what number can I take out? Well, you're always going to take out the common denominator because you just put it in that way. Now, what can you take out on top? Is there a number that goes into 15, 9, and 24? What is the largest number that goes into 15, 9, and 24? Well, that would be 3. So the number-wise, I'm going to pull out a 3. Now, letter-wise, I know you know what to do there. Each of them has an x. Well, how many can I take out? You have to take out the lowest of all of them, so that would be x to the first. I'll just write x. They each have a y, so that would be y squared. And when you have that done, what would be left? Well, if you take out the right common denominator, you shouldn't have fractions within this parentheses, because I would just have to multiply 3 over 20 by 5 to get 15 over 20. Notice, don't write this, if I put 5 over 20, I'd really be getting 50 over 400. Because remember, if I distribute back, I should get to my answer. So that would be a 5. How many x's? Well, I have 5. I took out 1, so that would be 4. Any y's? No, because I had 2 and I took out 2. And you just go down the line. So plus 3. I don't need an x in this one. I would just need 1 y. And then finally, minus, I would have to have an 8. I would need 1 x, and I would need 2 y's. And there you go. And so that's my factoring. It says write without negative exponents, but I didn't have any negative exponents. But let me do example B. Okay, let's just kind of take everything separate. Number-wise. Number-wise, what number can I take out? What's the largest number that goes into 6 and 8? Well, that would be a 2. They both have an x, and in fact, I could do an x squared, could I not? They both actually have a factor of x minus 3. Now the question is, what power of x minus 3? Remember how yesterday, 5 seconds ago, when we determined how many x's and y's, we said, like, look at the y's. We had to pick the lowest one. Of 2, 3, and 4, what's the lowest? Or in other words, what's the leftmost of the number line? That would be 2. So if I ask you for negative 3 and negative 2, which one is lower? You would say negative 3. Now, I sometimes do square brackets. When I have a lot of brackets to do my big parentheses, I just kind of do square brackets. Don't get confused by that. It's just a parentheses as well, but just kind of helps me. I have 2 terms, 1, 2. Well, let's go term by term. What would I need to multiply 2 by to get 6? I would need 3. Any x's? No, because this exponent and this exponent are the same. Any x minus 3's? Again, no, because this and this are the same. So for that first term, all I need was a 3. Now for the second term, I'm sure you get the minus 4, for sure. Now what about x's? Well, remember guys, when you distribute, you should get back. So I have x squared, I would have to multiply by an x. And then what about an x minus 3? Well, it's got to be to some power because my exponents aren't the same. Now think, what power should that one be to? Remember, when you distribute, you add exponents. So this one is going to be a positive 1. Remember, if you're taking out the correct thing, there should be no negative exponents within your big parentheses in here. If you're taking out the right thing, there shouldn't be any negative exponents right there. I'm just going to clean it up to get to my final answer. Since it says no negative exponents, I would have 2x on top, 2x squared on top. This guy will also be on top, so I'm just kind of cleaning that up. 3 minus 4x squared plus 12x, I believe. Now, yes, you're saying, well, should I factor that? You could check to see if it factors. I'm not sure if that one does or not. I'm not going to do that step, but sometimes they do write the answer in more factored form. So if they factor it, you would know to do that. But the no negative exponents part, this needs to be in the denominator because we know that negative exponents means move it. So if it's on top with a negative exponent, you move it to the bottom. So that would be my final answer there. So you have 4 more to practice and just finish this page up. Very, very important stuff. All right, peace out.